While there are numerous steno theories available, there are only a handful that don't cost an arm and a leg. Most hobbyists who learn steno typically use Plover theory. After all, it comes by default when you install the Plover app, and is one of the only theories with free learning resources and a dictionary. However, there are some issues inherent with Plover theory and its dictionary that may not make it a great choice. If you're struggling with Plover, you might want to consider Lapwing theory. Full disclaimer, I currently use Lapwing because it just works best for me, but that's also because I created it. It started off as a small project to clean up the default Plover dictionary, but soon turned into a theory of its own. I manually built it from scratch in early 2022, adding 1,000 entries every day for 3 months. I've been tweaking the dictionary ever since, and a year later, I started working on a beginner's guide. Now, in 2024, I'm no longer the only one using Lapwing. So what's wrong with Plover theory? Well, in essence, it is a little bit incomplete. There are a lot of theory gaps that leave it ambiguous when it comes to writing words with more than one syllable. Often, there will be multiple ways of writing a word, even for just one pronunciation. The dictionary is supposed to contain every valid outline, but it just doesn't. After all, adding every single valid combination would be a monumental task. But to illustrate how the theory gaps can be a problem, take a look at how the word monotonous would be written with the main Plover dictionary. First of all, what's going on with OUS versus US? Is one of these more correct than the other? If you said yes, you'd be right. It turns out that OUS is preferred over US in the main dictionary. However, this isn't in any of the learning resources. You just have to learn this yourself. Next, what is happening with doubling consonants between strokes in this entry? Why couldn't you do it for any of the other ones? I've used Plover theory for almost 2 years, but I couldn't give you a straight answer in words. Sometimes it just feels right to do it. Another issue, how do you tell where a stroke begins and ends? Most of the entries include the first N in the first stroke, but only a few include in the second. If you had just finished Learn Plover or Art of Courting, these are all valid entries, and there are no theory rules telling you if you should choose one or the other. Also, there are many entries missing from the dictionary that are also valid. Not knowing what is the correct answer can be frustrating for learners, especially if their idea of the correct outline is not in their dictionary. Of course, none of this would be an issue if learners were comfortable with adding their own entries. Steno students pursuing a professional steno career, for example, typically aren't even given a dictionary. They have to build their own from scratch. In contrast to this, if you use Plover theory, you just have to add missing entries every now and again, which is comparably trivial. However, with Plover theory advertised as complete, hobbyists will treat the dictionary as something that is correct and that they need to abide by. This is just not true. No steno dictionary is ever complete, and every stenographer is always tweaking their dictionary. That being said, I do believe there's a lot of room for Plover theory to improve. Hobbyists don't have time to spend hours each day learning steno, and therefore don't have the time to fill in the gaps left behind. As hobbyists also rely on the lookup tool in a lot of their learning, it would be more ideal to use a theory that is more complete and less ambiguous. Yes, every stenographer should be tweaking their own dictionary no matter if they're professional or a hobbyist, but not everyone should be forced to start this as soon as they encounter multi-syllable words. My intention behind Lapwing theory was to fix all of these issues I've mentioned. It shares a lot in common with Plover theory, and some have described it as Plover but more defined, which I really like. Going back to our monotonous example, Lapwing has the following outlines. The first entry is a brief that uses an abbreviated prefix stroke. The next two are also briefs that drop the unstressed vowel. And the last 2 entries are the canonical outlines you'd use if you have never seen the word before. There are 2 outlines to account for the fact that you can pronounce this word in 2 ways, like monotonous or monotonous. In general, there's typically only 1 or 2 canonical outlines for every pronunciation of a word. Lapwing also does not include misstroke entries and does not rely heavily on dropping unstressed vowels in the writeouts. This makes it easier for learners. There's also a more complete learning resource available. The Lapwing for Beginners wiki not only goes over the basic concepts covered in Learn Plover and Art of Courting, but also more complicated topics such as multisyllable words and editing text. My goal with the wiki is to provide a path that will let you switch to steno full-time, just like I did last year. At the moment, it is not quite complete, but it contains almost everything you need to know to write English prose. If you're curious about where Lapwing departs from Plover, I suggest taking a look at Appendix A. I also suggest reading this page if you're interested in switching. In summary, here are a few key differences between Lapwing and Plover. Lapwing uses a syllabic splitting method for complicated words. Prefixes and suffixes are only used when they make sense semantically. Compound words are written by including the asterisk in the second word, which makes it a lot more consistent than Plover. Proper nouns are also written by including the number key in the first stroke, which has been relocated on the layout. Numbers are written one at a time using a right-hand number pad. And finally, there are also a few slight changes to compound clusters and the missing letter chords. Anyway, that's kind of just what I've been up to lately in the Plover world. I am thinking of making some videos to complement the wiki, but I won't be starting those anytime soon. I'm still occasionally tweaking the Lapwing dictionary, and I'd love to keep improving the wiki. So until both of these are in a stable state, I won't be attempting to teach Lapwing via videos. Anyway, that's all from me. If you've made it this far, then you probably enjoy the content I create. If you're financially stable and would like to contribute to my work, I've had channel membership turned on and also have a PayPal donation link in the About section of my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again some other time on the internet.